Persistency and placement. Let me tell you what kind of is pushing the whole concept of placement and persistency. Forrester's is doing a 3-year persistency report, and they're going to be sending out letters to agents that have been with us. So let's explain what that is. Let's explain placement and persistency. I'll try to be very simple with it because it can be a little confusing. So placement rate is the number of apps you submitted apps versus what gets issue paid, okay? So what they do is you take the issue paid number in the denominator and put the submitted number in the numerator, vice versa, okay? You put the submitted in the denominator, issue paid in the numerator, and you get your placement percentage. So, for example, if you submit 10 applications and you get 5 issue paid, that's a 50% placement rate, which absolutely sucks, okay? It's terrible. That's terrible. The average in the Alliance, I believe, is 70%. Okay, that's the Alliance average. In other words, people do worse than that. The worst I've ever seen in my experience in 18 years was, I think, a 50% placement rate, which, can you imagine going out and writing 10 applications? You went to, maybe 8 different homes, 7 different homes to write 10 applications, and half of that business gets paid, right? And you basically wasted your other time with people in the home. Now, let's talk about what makes this different. Why submit? Why is issue paid less than submit? There are reasons for that. Okay, these are what the carriers track. Okay, the things that take away from it, you take away declines. Okay, these are people that didn't get issued because of something wrong with their health. Okay, so they get declined because of a medication that they found or an MIB hit, whatever the reason. Okay, decline. I'm not going to go into how to take care of this because that's not the point now. I'm just going to explain it. Okay, so it gets declined. There's a thing called withdrawal. So that's when a client, after you sold it, like an e-app, and then the client says, hey, hey, Joe, look, me and my wife been thinking we don't want it. Can you please cancel the application? So that's called a withdrawal. So that comes out of your numbers because you submitted it. Then the client chooses not to go through with it. It gets withdrawn. Then you have no takes. So what happens is it gets issue paid, but the client declines taking it. They have a 20-day to 30-day free look, depending on the state that you're in, and they can say, we don't want it anymore. Okay, we decided not to go with it, and they cancel within the first 30 days of the policy. In fact, Forrester's is actually a little bit longer than that. Truth be told. Okay, that's called no take. So these are the 30% are these reasons. Okay, now I'm going to go into how you can control these. Declines are controlled by knowing your underwriting guidelines. You can't control all declines, but you can if you know your underwriting, height and weight standards. What I can't stand, what drives me crazy, is someone submits an app, and based on the information on the application, they decline it. And that's just not knowing your underwriting guidelines. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that later. Withdrawals and no takes. This is your sales process in the home. That's how you can control that. So all these you can minimize. You're going to still get these, but you're going to minimize it. The best I've seen in my business in 18 years is a 90% placement rate. So if the best person in my business could do 90%, why can't you? Right? In fact, let's see if Karen's been with me a long time. I know she's got really decent numbers as far as I can tell. Let me see. Karen, can you hear me? Or can we hear you? Hello, Karen. Okay, I unmuted your computer. Maybe I need to unmute your line. Hit *6 to unmute. Or maybe you can't talk. I just show you as you're on your computer. So
Good morning.
Oh, hey, Karen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What do you think your placement rate is? Do you know, or do you have any idea? Do you think it's like 90%?
I do not. I don't think it's all the way at 90, but I don't think it's terrible.
Okay.
I think somewhere in the 75 to 80.
Okay.
Five-ish range.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know you have a problem when you're wondering why you're not making money. Why am I not making money? Because the placement rate is a direct reflection of how much you make based on how much work you think you're doing. And so anyway, yeah, that's the thing. It's just, here's the hard part. Thanks, Karen. I'm going to mute you. Okay, the hard part about this is you don't know you have a problem unless you track it. Now, let me explain persistency. So you understand placement rate, and this is a function of knowing your underwriting guidelines and then your sales process in the home, which I will talk about. Man, I just have enough time to do this, but I need to do this. I've got videos on this already. So that's placement rate. Let's talk about persistency. Persistency. How long does your business stay on the books? So let's look at it from the perspective of the insurance company. Okay, insurance companies price products, and they have the actuaries, the mathematician nerds. What they do is they look at the death mortality rate, how many people they expect to die. They create underwriting guidelines for that product. They price it based on the mortality rates, based on what they want to do with that underwriting. Like if it's simplified issue, they're going to issue it to Table 4 standard. So what does that mean in terms of pricing the product on a monthly premium rate basis? Okay, so they look at that. What they also plan on is what the sales force is going to do on how much policies stay on the books, because they expect a certain level of profitability. Okay, so there's a line, and you'd be surprised how many people give up their policies. Okay, so here's like the life of a policy, numbers of, let's say you have a block of 100 policies placed in the month of May, right, 2018. Okay, so all the Forrester's policies, let's say that you wrote, well, let's just say, based on 100, this block of business. Okay, let's say NAA as a whole. Let's say there's 100 policies that they're tracking that was written in the month of May. They look at each month. How many is still around in June, July, August, all the way down to May, June of 2019. Okay. So the June 2019 is called the 13-month persistency rate. How many is going to be around? And they want to see, I think, okay, don't quote me, but I believe the number is they want to see 75% still being, clients still have their policies about 75% at 13 months. Okay, 75%. So then they track it month after month. There's just this block of business May 2018, right? So in order to get to June, July, August, all the way down to June 2020, that'll give you basically your 24-month persistency. Well, okay, for that block of business, for just May 2018, okay? So they want to see X number. Do you know that the 3-year persistency, they're looking for 55%, I believe the number is. So between 75, so then maybe this is 65% for the 24-month. Okay, by 7 years, they actually track a 5-year and a 7-year. I'm trying to remember because we used to really track this, but the 5-year persistency, they need to have, let's just say, for the sake, I'm still waiting for a text, because we used to really track this with Foresters. Foresters, really the only carrier that tracks it to a very detailed amount is, let's say this is 45%, and then let's say this is 40%. So that's really kind of the number they're expecting, that if this block in May 2018, if 40% are still around year 7, then they're profitable, they're making money, right? But here's what they know, is that if this starts off bad in the first year, let's say this block of business is 65%, they know all those numbers are going to be worse. So they already know that it's going to be tracking bad if that number is bad. Here's a problem. This is the first indicator, but once you get to these indicators, it's already too late to fix it. All right? Now, so that's May 2018. So you got June 2018, and they track that all this way. So what you have is kind of a cascading number of each month, month after month after month. And there's going to be a percentage related to each of these June. So let's talk about you, the agent. You, the agent, you are the alliance. So let's say you write 10 policies in May, 15 in June, 7 in July, 20, 10, 15. Okay, so you got May, June, July, August, September, October. And these are all being tracked out to 13 months. So you'll have I just changed the axis on you, I'm sorry. So you've got May's 13-month number here. You got June's block of business here. Okay, you see how, so you don't know what your total, and what Forces will do is they'll look at your 2-year numbers based on your block of business. So you can write business for a year. They don't know what the total numbers are going to be until month 24 for your first year persistency. So what they do is they take May, June, July, blah, 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 12 months, and they see what happens at month 24, and they look at the percentage that are still in place. So let's say by this time, this number, maybe you have 5 on the books. Maybe you have, out of 15 that you wrote that month, you've got 10 on the books. Out of 7, you've got 4. Out of 20, you've got 15. Out of 10, you got 7. Out of 15, you got 8. Let's say you did 10 here and you got 5. So what they look at is they look at, okay, at this month, how much of these are still on the books? All right? This is for you. And then they look at the agency and they look at the hierarchy and they look at all of NAA. You are NAA. So here is why this is important now. For those of you that have been with us 4 years, some of y'all that if you're not at 55%, your number's not at 55%, you're going to get a letter. And it'll be a threatening letter. You're going to be worried about it because foresters will say, you're not meeting the 3-year persistency. We are considering terminating you. Here's the problem. You have no idea what it is because you haven't been tracking it. I'm talking to Karen. I don't think Andrew's been with us long enough. You're almost going to be with us long enough. I'm a little bit there's a bunch of people in a hierarchy. But Karen will be one for sure to get I'm not saying she's going to get a letter. I think her persistency is great. Okay. But the point is Karen has no clue like what her persistency is unless she's checked. I think they do check that. Let me check, Karen. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Karen, do you know what your 13-month and 24 and 36-month persistency is with foresters? Karen?
I just looked it up on the Foresters website, and I'm at 80% on the 13-month.
Okay, so what that means, you're at 80% at the 13 month, or what'd you say, 15?
Yes, at the 13 month.
13 month.
As far as the report goes.
Okay. So she's 80%. So she is ahead of the game by 5%. So if you just track what they expect her business to do, it'll probably be fine. So I'm expecting, because her 13 month, based on her last 24 months of business, you remember this part, that she'll probably be okay. She's not going to get a letter. But there are going to be some agents that get a letter. And here's the problem with persistency, is you can't just turn it around overnight, because you can't go back 2 years in time. Does that make sense? You can't go back 2 years to fix it. And I dare say, I don't know anyone that really tracks it. So the only way we really can handle it properly is to teach you what you need to do from Jump Street in the home, the techniques you need to do, the process that will produce good placement and persistency, okay, if you do these things, okay? So I know this is all kind of mumbo jumbo to some of y'all, but until you get a letter, and I'm sure they're probably going to be sending out 13-month letters and 24-month letters, because they got the data, because they know that if it's bad, it's going to get worse, right? And then it is going to be up for termination. You could be terminated with no... The thing about persistency is that if it's bad, it's already been bad. And in fact, they tell us that it's the only way you can increase persistency. You cannot get persistency numbers by doing more numbers, because doing more numbers of the bad thing still produces the bad thing. It costs the insurance company money. It costs them money. They're not profitable. In other words, it's better to fire you, even if you're doing 20, 30, 50,000 a month in production. They would rather you be fired so that you don't continue to produce bad persistency numbers. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. But Alex, I'm beyond my chargeback period, because after 9 months, I don't get chargebacks. It's like, oh my God, seriously? It's not good business for them to keep you as an agent. We'd love to keep you as an agent, but the problem is you produce bad business. It costs the insurance company money. They'd rather us fire you, because you can't turn around the last 2 years, because you can't go back in time. Does that make sense? But the problem is you don't know you have a problem until 2 years later. So that's why it's so important for you to fix the process that you're doing before you have a problem. Does that make sense? The proper practices, okay, will produce the good result. The wrong practices will produce bad result. But you don't know what the result is until later. Okay, it's like your kids. You pray to God that you're raising them properly, that they will not go on drugs, they'll not hang around the wrong people. And you pray, oh Lord, when they're little, especially when they're little, you taught them all the right things, but you don't know the effect of your raising them until after they're out in the world on their own, making their own decisions. Persistency is the same thing. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's a reflection of the bad stuff you did in the past, as well as the good stuff you did in the past. So really, the only way, not the only way, the best way is to let's fix it before it becomes a problem. Does that make sense? So that's the ramp up for the things that you need to do to make sure that you're not writing poor business. I got an award from Forster. In fact, Forster's gave me an iPad because I was one of the top 3 agencies on placement and persistency. And that's why I had a large group. Well, I have a large group, but I mean, back then, I still had a large group. So they gave me an iPad. It's pretty cool. Let me see if I got any other text. Okay, so Vinny says 13-month target with Forrester is 78.5%. He's at 92%. Here's why Vinny's persistency is great with Forrester's, is because Vinny writes value. He sells the client value. In fact, I'm going into it. But okay, so let's cover this. I've got a PowerPoint on this. Okay, so let's talk about fixing placement. Oh, man. Okay, let's talk about how do you fix placement. Number one, you got to know your underwriting guidelines. Here's the thing: why go into someone's house when you're just it's a crapshoot on what you're going to write them? That's why on the phone I ask them for what their medications are, just real quick on the phone. I never lost an appointment because I asked someone, "Hey Joe, just real quick, are you on medications for anything?" Then I write down the medication. By the way, have you had any overnight surgeries in the last 5 years? Yes or no? Hey, do you have any problems with your heart, cancer, stroke, diabetes? Any heart problems, cancer, stroke, diabetes? Those are the big four. Okay, I just said real quick. It only takes 1 minute. So I know, you'll know, and I'll know how to coach you what to go in with, right? That'll give me an idea so you don't try to write them up on something that they're going to get declined out of hand. Okay, so you got to know your underwriting guidelines. You have to access, and we've got our agent resource folder, so you have 2 clicks to get to the information you need. Height and weight chart. Oh man, it drives me bonkers when you submit business and you get declined because the height and weight is wrong. They're not in the height and weight guidelines. It's like, why give it to the other team? The other team being the insurance company. It's sort of like a win-loss record, or, so you need to have your medication list with you handy, so you know what medications are allowable. You need to know what surgeries that they got. You got to know your height and weight guidelines, how to access those charts. Know your issue ages. Now, if you're doing an e-app, there's a lot of the e-app won't let you do, like write a wrong age, but there are height and weight guidelines. The other thing about knowing your underwriting is calling risk assessment. Their risk assessment people at underwriting for all the carriers are usually business hours. So if you got an appointment tomorrow, right, I would call today during business hours to get an underwriting risk assessment. I would just suggest you always do it. Now, if you don't know the medications, then you don't do an underwriting guideline. If you don't know medications, surgeries, things they're dealing with. That's why on the phone you can find out just the preliminary stuff, okay, not total detail. Like you're not trying to, you book the appointment and then it's oh, by the way, are you taking any medications for anything? Any overnight surgeries for anything? Heart, stroke, cancer, diabetes. Armed with those answers, you can call underwriting to get a risk assessment. Underwriters are great. They will educate you on underwriting. If there's anything in this business that you have to learn, it's what products will take certain health conditions. And who will teach you, and any university will teach you. But the best teaching is from underwriters. So quiz the underwriters. Okay, so what should I know about this client when I go in there? What questions should I ask them? Why is that pertinent that, that maybe they had a heart attack over 2 years ago as opposed to just last year? Find out the reason. Did you know that they like the height and weight they like women, like this is what I learned from underwriting. Women that are a little bit overweight when they're older, in their 60s and 70s, have a higher longevity than women that are skinny. I don't know why that is. They told me that. I go, seriously? Yeah, we like them to have a little bit of meat on their bones. I don't know, but they taught me stuff that is just really fascinating to me. Don't get burned on things that you control. Have them with you. Either print them out on a PDF and have them in your ATM so you can reference it. That's what I used to do. I used to just like have paper. Now we have it on our agent resource folder where you can go click and open it up. There's also alliancequoting.com has all the underwriting tools available to you there as well. All right, so there's just plenty of tools, but use your tools, but know what you're dealing with before you go in. So you got to know your underwriting guidelines, okay? So that's probably the biggest thing on placement is knowing what you're dealing with, okay? Here are the other parts about, and so now I'm going into placement and persistency, the P&P, things that you can do in the home to make sure that you maximize these things. How to maximize placement and persistency, okay? So remember our process, the submarine. You got, the first part is bond and rapport. Then it goes into pain finding. This is all the Sandler stuff. Pain finding. Then pain finding goes into the upfront contract. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what you're going to do. So we all know that we're going to do this, right? And then this is what we call fulfillment of the contract, which is prices. They pick one. Okay, this is a proposal. And then there's the post-sale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Post-sale. I don't even know if that's all on the screen anymore. So this is our sales process. If you do these things in the sales process, you will maximize your placement and persistency. But you've got to do these things. You blow these off, your placement and persistency numbers will go to crap. I promise you. And you're not going to make as much money. That's the thing. You're not going to make as much money. I want you to make money. I want you to have long-term relationships with your clients. That's good stuff, Vinny. Again, you're the model of value. Okay, so let's start here, the bond and rapport. You have got to be good at creating strong rapport with the client so they trust you, right? And they respect you. They respect your knowledge. They respect that you care enough about them that you're going to tell them the right things that they ought to do. You're going to do the right thing for them. It's that kind of trust level where everything that you're asking them to say, right, everything, all the questions you're asking is done with sincerity and a true desire to help them out. Trust is everything when it comes to placement and persistency. And you establish that from Jump Street from day one on the phone. The other thing about bond and rapport is that strong bond and rapport will help you ask the hard questions in pain finding. We will not cover someone who doesn't have a need, that doesn't have the pain that they're trying to solve by putting a policy in place. If someone's good, they don't need it, I don't want to sell it to them. The worst thing that you can do to your placement and persistency is to write someone a policy that they don't need. Does that make sense? That's why we're not looking for slick salespeople. We don't want you, slick salesperson, because you will find any possible way to close that deal, and the client is just wanting you to get the heck out of their house. They're going to sign up and then with the intent already that they're going to cancel it. Right? They're going to cancel it. They know they're going to cancel it. They just want you to they want you to get the heck out of their house, right? Bond rapport helps you ask the hard questions in the pain finding process. Without pain, you've got nothing. In fact, the best closing rate, okay, so closing rate, how I define closing rate, other people define it, in my opinion, wrongly. Okay, there's a school of thought out there that care ratio, I call it closing rate, is calculated by the number of applications per number of homes sat. Okay, so if you got 10 applications and you sat in 10 homes, I got people saying, oh, Alex, I got 100% closing rate. It's like, no, you're fooling yourself, dude. How stupid is that? The average, in my experience in 18 years, is it's 1.3 applications per home. So they're not closing all those. Okay? Don't track it like this. This is a foolish thing that fakes you out thinking you've got a great closing rate. Here's closing rate. My opinion, my humble but accurate opinion, is number of homes closed versus number of homes sat. Okay, so even if you did 20 applications in one home, let's say you've got 5 homes that you closed and you sat down with 10 homes, that's a 50% close rate based on the number of homes that you wrote applications in. It could be 1 app or it could be 20 apps, but that equals 1 closed home. Okay, so having said that, the best in my business, the best in my 18 years, measured like this, actually it was like 68.9%. So let's just round that up to 70 close rate. Wow, my best guy that did average 20,000 plus you paid a month. So what that tells me is that our closing rates for our lead program, you should probably not be closing more than 70%. If you close 80 or 90% in this definition, you're probably arm twisting, and your placement and persistency is going to go to hell because of the fact that I told you about the slick salesperson effect. They're trying to get you out of the home. Okay, but I think 70 is probably awesome. Okay, so if you're closing 7 out of 10, right on. The overall average, in my experience, is 55%, measured like this. Okay. But see, closing rate has something to do with your placement and persistency. All right. So anyway, I just want to make sure you guys know what we're talking about here, because you need to. Don't fake yourself out. That's the 11th commandment. Moses kind of accidentally left off the 11th commandment. You know, I don't know if it got chafed off in the tablets when he was walking down, you know, Mount Sinai. But the 11th commandment is, thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. Okay? Thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. And that closing ratio is a big way to fool yourself. You don't measure properly, in my humble but accurate opinion. Okay, so the next step in the process that you can make sure that you have good placement and persistency is the pain finding. Remember, if someone doesn't have pain, if they don't have a need for the product, don't sell them that product. Okay, you can't. Okay, but you got to be good at asking the right questions, right? So that you can't sell anyone something that doesn't have the need for it. They don't have the pain for it. Okay. And how we do that is our process of selling and finding pain is asking questions. We ask questions. We ask, we don't tell. That sounds familiar. Ask, don't tell. We ask questions. Why? Because clients don't object to what comes out of their mouth. Okay, they don't object what they're saying. They object to what you're saying. You see, because when you tell them something, they have a choice. Number one, they have a choice. Do I like this person? Do I trust what they're telling me? Do I respect their knowledge? Blah, 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 blah. They're thinking all these things, and then it equals believe or not believe, or skeptical that you're trying to sell them something. Okay, whenever you tell someone something as a salesperson, they got to decide if they believe you. There's already a barrier between you and them, right? You're the salesperson, I'm the client. I know you're trying to make money off me. Okay, that's how it starts out. The bon rapport breaks those walls down, and then pain finding is the asking of questions. When they answer your questions, they don't object what's coming out of their mouth. So you have to ask the question. Everything that you want to tell them can be phrased in a question. And you need to practice pain finding questions. I've got a great video. I've got a 2-part video on asking the right questions, pain finding. You can look it up on YouTube. But pain finding, asking the proper questions will lead them to what they ought to be doing for their families. You're putting the guardrails. You're asking them yes, no questions. You're asking them, explain this for me. Tell me how this. I'm not going to teach pain finding here, but you've got to get good at this, because this will help you with finding why they need it, giving them something that they value, that they really need, right? And this increases your placement and persistency, because they don't want to give up something they really need, right? So that's the pain finding part of the process that helps you at that. Upfront contract. This is where you set expectations. hey, Joe, after you find the pain, this is where you say, that's why I'm here, Joe and Mary. I'm here so that will never happen to you. Okay, so you're pulling your shirt open and revealing Superman. I'm Superman, I'm Superwoman. I'm going to help you. Now, the upfront contract is, but these are the conditions by which I'm going to help you. Okay, you don't say it like that, but this is what you say. It's, anyway, I'm not going to teach it, but I'm going to say what you say. Basically, tell them, okay, Joe, Mary, this is what's going to happen next. This is the slide in the ATM. This is what's going to happen next. So I'm going to do, we're going to figure out, I'm going to ask you a bunch of health questions so I can get you into the right product. I'm going to give you 3 options, price options that'll fit your budget. You pick one of those, and then we're going to see if you qualify. So we're going to fill out an application electronically or otherwise, whatever. And then we're going to send it into the insurance company. And I'm drawing this out. We're going to send the application to the insurance company, okay? And then they're going to think about you. So tonight's not a think about it night. Tonight is, let's see what you can afford, the program that you want that will take care of what we talked about here. And then the insurance has to think about it. So tonight's not a think about it night. The insurance company has to think about you. When they make a decision, it could be 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks. Once they make a decision, they're going to let us know. And if it's positive, they accept you, they're going to send you a policy back. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to open the policy with you. We're going to take a look at it. And at that point, that's your time to think about if you want to increase your coverage, decrease it, change the pricing, whatever you want. Because now we know that you physically can qualify for the policy. Now we have an option. On the chance that they decline you based on your health or whatever, I've got other programs I can come back with. So fear not, okay, I will come back and we'll show you some other options. But this is how we're going to take care of this. Does this sound good to you? Will this work for you? How does that feel for you? Okay, this is that NLP stuff. And they say, yes, sounds good. Or they say, no, we're just looking at prices. Oh, you're just looking at price? Well, let's go back to, I'm confused. Okay, again, I'm not going to talk about how to deal with that, but you need to set out expectations so you know they know what they got to do, so you know what you can do for them, and then we send it to the insurance company. Most closes are lost here because you're not making it clear what's going to happen, all right? So that's the upfront contract. You don't mystify each other. Okay, the post-sale process. This is where you lock down placement of persistency, in my humble but accurate opinion. Okay, the post-sale process requires a whole new board. This is after you close it, after you've taken care of the client. Okay, so this is kind of the steps, and it's like 9 steps for placement of persistency. You get these down, dudettes, you will rock placement of persistency. If you don't do these, you will die. This will be a slow death. You'll be terminated. You won't make money. Okay? Did I motivate you enough? I hope so. God, please, I hope I've motivated them. Number 1, okay, this is the push the check back. Okay? This is more of an analogy. This is what we actually used to do when we used to take checks in the home. Now we do it electronically. We get their bank account information. They draft the first thing. But what I used to do is I would say, okay, Joe and Mary, I would I'd get the paperwork together. They gave me the check, and I'd pretend to put it in the paper clip. I go, I look at the check, I look at them. And then what I would do is I turn the check back to them, and I push it back in front of them, and I would say this. I go, Joe and Mary, this $125 a month represents your commitment to take care of your family over the next 30 years so that the stuff we talked about where your family would have to move out of their home, move into a different school district, have to go to public school, all those things, this $125 a month will make sure none of that happens, that your family's taken care of. Now let me ask you a question. $125 a month. Christmas is coming. Your Christmas bills will come in January. When you get those bills, are you going to see this coming out of your checking account on automatic draft? Are you going to call me up and tell me, Alex, we can't afford it? Or summer's coming, vacation time, you're putting vacation stuff on credit cards or whatever, then you see that this is going to be drafting next month. Are you going to call me, tell me you want to cancel? Can you afford $125 a month to take care of your family? Then I shut the heck up. I'll let them answer the question. Any slight hesitation, if there's any little bit, I know that it's too expensive. And if there's this awkward silence, I save them. I say, you know what? I was feeling like it was a little bit too much. Let's go to option number 2. That $95 program is still going to kind of get you what you want. Your family's still going to be able to stay in the home. Your wife will be able to refinance, and she'll be able to make the payments with her income. Why don't we do $95 a month? And you did your job when they exhale. It's you took the pressure off them. It's okay to accept the lower number, okay, but you made sure that they didn't have the problem up front. I want to make sure, I want to close. If there's anything we do, we never upsell. We always downsell them on the amount of premium. And we did a study related to placement persistency 10, 12 years ago, that it was related to the price of the product, the premium they were paying had something to do with placement persistency. The higher premium, the higher cancellation rate. Does that make sense? There's clearly a correlation overall, okay? Not in every instance, but just overall numbers. So, we don't physically push the check back anymore, but we still ask the same question. The electronic draft, it's the same idea. You ask them if they can still afford it. Okay, so that's number 1, push the check back. Number 2, pre-deliver the policy. So here's what I did. I always carried my policy. The first policy I ever wrote is this F&G Live policy, Fidelity and Guarantee Life Home Certain policy. I have it right here. And I would say, hey, Joe Mary, by the way, would you like to see what your policy is going to look like? Yeah. And so I would pull this out and I say, here's mine. Okay, here's my policy. And then I directed to the requirements page. This was awkward because this is all separated. But I show them, here's what I have for my family. Okay, I got this back in December 1999, and a face amount $150,000. I've gotten covered for 30 years. My annual premium is $405 a year. I've got the waiver of premium on here. You see this disability income rider at $1,200 a month. I've got the children's term rider, so it covers $5,000 on each child. And I've got the unemployment protection or return of premium rider. This is my policy. Let me show you the other parts of this that your policy will have too. It'll have the benefits page. Here's the part on your premiums, how much you're going to pay. Here's the 2-year suicide exclusion. So if you're going to off yourself, wait after 2 years, your policy will be good. I joke. Here's the explanation of the riders. Like it shows my return of premium rider. This explains it. Then here's a copy of my application. Here, why don't you take a look at this? And I put it in their hands and see what you've done. And now I got to put it in the right order. What you've done with this is you've turned this conceptual sale into a tangible thing they can touch and feel. So here, why don't you take a look at this? And all the kinesthetic, touchy-feeler type people that need to know they've bought something will drool all over this. They'll go, wow. And you just locked it in, baby. You locked it in. Because they got to touch and feel and do the wacka-wacka thing with, this is my policy. You know how much business I closed with this in my bag? You know what? And it's one of our carriers. It's not your old, American Income Life policy that you bought 10 years ago. It's not your TransUnion policy or Life Insurance America policy. It's one of our carriers. Why? Because you're showing something that you could sell them. You don't have to buy a policy with every one of our carriers. I've got quite a few, right? But I just showed them because I felt like I had credibility when I showed them something that we sold. Because I showed them my policy. This gives you credibility as a salesperson that you believe in what you're selling. A good cook eats their own cooking. This has closed so many sales for me. Give me credibility. increase my place in persistency. Does this make sense? You ain't got your own policy. You're blowing it. Totally blowing it, man. Okay, protect your sale. Number 3. Protect your sale. You know the part where I teach you how to get around stalls on the phone? People say, well, I already took care of it. This is where you actually protect your client from having another agent. Sometimes it's another alliance agent. Our alliance agents are, but Alex already sold that lead. Sometimes the lead doesn't get pulled out accidentally. It stays in there, and then the next agent has it as a AA or AAA lead or RW lead. They'll call your client. And you know how good some of these agents are. They'll talk their way into the house. And then what they'll do is they'll replace your policy. And sometimes it's not an alliance agent. It'll be another agent from another agency that'll replace your policy. So I protect my sale. I say, man, I'm running out of time. I tell them, Joe and Mary, our agency likes to be very thorough. So you might have another agent call you, or even another agent from just something else. And they're going to call you, and they're going to give you all kinds of slick sales talk to talk their way in, and then they're going to try to replace what I did for you. Now, let me ask you, are you happy with the program? Does it satisfy what you're looking for? Yeah, Alex, it's great. We like it. Okay, so let me ask you, what would you do when someone says, hey, I need to come over to value what you have. I can do it for cheaper. I can do it for this or that or whatever. What would you tell them? And I shut the heck up. I want to hear them say, no, we're not going to let them come over. We're going to just hang the phone up, Alex. We like this. We want this. Okay, good. I just want to make sure, because I think I've earned your business, but I want to make sure that you feel the same way about this that I feel about you. You want to make sure that they're not going to cheat on you. Now, here's what I believe. If you didn't do a good enough job of being their agent, you know what? That other agent deserves your business, deserves to replace your business, because if you didn't do everything right, where they trusted you and they like you and they want you to be their agent, then don't get mad if another agent comes in there if you didn't do this part. Because I want to know if there's anything funky going on with our relationship where they're going to let any other Tom, Dick, and Harry come in and start shopping you on price. So I want to know. When I leave, I want to know the status of this relationship here. Does that make sense? Are we going to date other people, or this is going to be exclusive? Anyway, number 4. Tell them that you'll call back. Okay, tell them you'll call them in 2 days. So what you do is you say, okay, Joe, Mary, here's my card. I'm going to put it up on your refrigerator under this magnet. Man, you know how people have cards from their realtor that's been on there for 20 years on their refrigerator. I put it under a magnet and say, here's what I want you to do. You're going to have some questions over the next couple days. Those questions, I want you to write down on a piece of paper. So I'm going to call you back in 2 days, and I'm going to see if I can answer your questions. Okay? Okay, so then you really call them back. Really call them back. This is a trust thing. You really call them back. You know how, like, you took your car into service to a new place for the first time, and then the service manager calls you back a week or two later and say, hey, Alex, just want to make sure your car's still running good. Do you like what we did? And you're going, wow, that's pretty cool. Why? Because most agents will never call back. But you're going to be different because you're going to call them back in 2 days. So you're going to create trust with them because you're going to be good for your word. Hey, I'm going to call you back in 2 days, and you call back 2 days. Say, hey, Joe, this is Alex. Remember, I was going to call you back. Well, do you have any questions about what we did 2 days ago? And they might have questions. Say, well, tell us more about how, will this premium ever go up, or that blah, 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 whatever. You're going to handle all those midnight questions for sure. But here's what you're looking for. You're looking for, when you call back, hey, Joe, it's Alex. I promise you I'll call you back in a couple days. If you got any questions, what you're looking for as the agent is that long pause, and then, well, Alex, you did a great job, but me and my wife have been talking. I don't know that we can afford $125 a month. I'm just like, it just seems like a lot. We just found out some financial things that we have to go through. And I go, say no more, Joe. Listen, I got some time to come over there. My last appointment will probably be over at 8 o'clock. I'll swing about between 8 and 9 o'clock. And then we can just revisit. Let's talk. Let's just chat about it. Nothing's been set in stone. So look, let me just come over and let's talk about it. That's what you're looking for. Buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse sets in 1 or 2 days after you left. See, the problem with most agents, if they don't call back, if they deliver the policy, they'll call back a couple weeks later and say, hey, Joe, great news. Your policy's been issued and approved. It's been sent out to you. I'm wondering did you already receive it? If you did, I want to come over and open it up with you. And then they'll tell you, well, me and my wife been talking, Alex. We really don't want the policy anymore. Well, let me come over. No, we made our decision. See, they had 2 weeks to solidify a decision they made 2 days after you left. The only way you have a chance at saving that policy is if it's still fresh. That's when you have a chance. That's why you call back in 2 days, so you can find out if there's any buyer's remorse. That's what you're looking for. Does that make sense? So you tell them you're going to call them back in 2 days, and you fulfill your promise to them that you're going to call them back. Number 5, send a card or note. That's another nice thing that my service guy does for me, is about 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, he sends me a note too. Not only did he call me, but he sends me a little card. Hey, thanks for your business. Okay, they say thanks for your business. Hey, next time you have anything, just give us a call. We'll schedule in. Your card is not thanking them. Never thank a client for business. People go, well, I don't understand, Alex, because you're thanking them for a paycheck. Look, you're the one that did the service for them. You're the doctor. Has your doctor ever sent you a thank you card? Oh, thank you, Alex, for coming in for your cough. Thank you, Alex, for coming in for your high blood pressure exam. No, because you're the doctor. You're their insurance doctor. You don't send them a thank you card. You send them a card saying, hey, it was great meeting you. I'm looking forward to serving your needs for the rest of your life. I will be here. Call me if you need anything. You're not thanking for the business. You're just appreciating the fact that you're another client that you can help and that you're here for them. All right? You're giving them the good juju. The other thing I like to do is I put my class on my Christmas card list. We like sending out those picture Christmas cards of our family. I promise you, man, they look forward to that dadgum card every year. And I call them back on the interview. Hey, Alex, this is Alex. Just check in. Do you need me to come over, explain your policies? Is there anything else you need? No, Alex, everything's fine. I appreciate you calling me. But you know what? Your family is just growing like a weed. I cannot believe every year we get those cards. I just can't tell you enough how much we appreciate getting those. I get that all the time. They love these picture Christmas cards. Put them on your Christmas list. It's a little bit of money that goes a long way for persistency. Okay? You're blowing it if you're not spending that money. Okay, number 6. When there's a long underwriting process, touch base. How do you know it's a long process? Well, if they got to do an APS, if it's fully underwritten. The longer ones, you need to touch base with them at least once a week. What I used to do is I used to write a letter to them, a form letter. My secretary would type out the letter by 1 week, 2 week, 3 week letters. If I did the records that are fully underwritten, I knew there was an APS. It could take like 3 months. So every week I had a letter that went out to them. Hey, this is Alex. Just want you to know things are progressing. If there are any changes, I'll let you know. Now, technology today, I would leave a voicemail. I would send them an email. Hey, just want you to know things are progressing. I'll let you know if there's any changes or if there's anything else I need from you. If it's a long underwriting process. Now, we've been getting policies issued like Force has been issuing in minutes, like 4 to 7 minutes on a clean MIB, like instantaneous. All right? So, but on longer underwriting, I touch base with them. Sometimes even quick issue, it might take a week or 2 weeks. I make sure that first week I send them, I put a voicemail or an email. Next week I text them or something. I touch base with them, let them know that things are going on. Because what I've seen in my experience is that when they never hear from the agent, they assume nothing happened, it got declined. And if I were a slick agent trying to get in the house, I would tell them, oh man, Well, you must not have been approved. Tell you what, I'm going to come over. I'm going to show you something. We're going to get approved quick. They're going to talk their way in because they never heard from you. They think they got declined. That's just how clients are. Some people, even after a week, they think it's already been too long, which goes to managing their expectations. I tell them, look, this could be issued in 2 hours, 2 weeks, 2 months. We just don't know. But I will let you know, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. I give them, it could be 2 hours, but I let them know that, but I'll let you know the status. Okay, if it's beyond a week, I would touch base with them, right? Touch base with them. Number 7, personal delivery. You personally deliver the policy. Good juju happens when you come over again. Every time you touch base with them after you make the sale, locks that policy in longer and longer and longer. You deliver your policy with them. You do exactly what you did when you pre-delivered the policy. Now, you show them the requirement, the benefits paid. You show them the premium, what they expect to pay out for the long haul. You show them the explanation of riders, if they bought any, then the application. It only takes 5 minutes. All kinds of great juju going on. If you didn't do ERS the first time, you have a chance to do the ERS referral system this time. But getting in front of them again is everything that will help lock in your placement and persistency. It builds trust, interaction, personal interaction, all the good juju goes on. It only takes 5-10 minutes. That amount of time is worth it to go over there. You check with them, hey, Joe, just want to make sure, did you get that big envelope in the mail with your policy? They'll say, yeah, I got it. Okay, great. I'm going to be out there running appointments. It's okay if I come by between 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's when I think I'll be done, and I can, we can open it up together. Okay, it's nothing slick that you do. You don't spend forever there, but you keep that good juju going on, right? Okay, then here's the other thing I do on the personal delivery. This is the 3x5 card. So when I personally deliver the policy, I have a 3x5 card I take with me with a big, thick Sharpie. And then when we open it up, I go, Joe, let's just go back to when I was here. What were the reasons that you wanted this policy again? And he tells me, well, I just want to make sure my family has a home to live in. So number 1, I put family has home to live in on a 3x5 card, real big, so they can read it. Number 2, what's the other reason? Well, I would just want to make sure there's my wife and children don't have to worry about anything related to the home. It sounds like the first one, but I write that down too. My wife and child don't have to worry. The more emotional words that you can put in the 3x5 card, the better, because people buy an emotion, justify it by logic. Okay, and then we really like the return of premium thing on this. We really want to get our money back. Number 3, return of premium rider. So what I do is I write this out in big bold letters. They can read it. And then I take those little mini staplers you get from an Office Depot, and I staple it to the front page of their policy. Joe and Mary, here, I'm going to put this on the front page of your policy. So if you should ever take it out, thinking that you want to cancel the policy, you read these 3 reasons here, and it will remind you why this is important. Makes sense? When you do that, if they ever pull it out again, oh my God. It'll remind them back to when you said that, why they needed it. It'll take them back to when you filled that out. It'll go back in time for them, why they got it. And that will also save your policy. All right? So personally deliver and then do the 3x5 card. It's a technique, but an important one. Number 8, annual reviews. You need to call them every year. The best way to do that is like what Jason Carey does. He's got his turn-in report that he tracks all his business every week. He staples it in his activity book. A year later, he goes back to that activity book for that year, and he comes up with the current week a year ago, and then he has all these clients to call for annual reviews. So he gives them a call, and he finds out, number 1, if they're still on the books, again, persistency. After a year later, he wants to know who's still on the books. Okay, then he wants to know, hey, this is This is Alex. Your agent, remember me. Just want to make sure everything's okay. If you have any questions, would you like me to come over, explain what you have, or any other needs? And actually, what I also do is I'm just checking back. Has there anything changed in your health? Has anything changed in your family? Any more children, kids to college? Anything any changes there? Any changes in employment? I want to track this every year. I want to track it. Do you need me to come over and explain anything to you? Here's what I found statistically. Half the time, they don't want me to come over. We got everything taken care of. It looks good. The other half of the time they want me to come over, I'm writing something else. So it'll produce more income for you. It'll create strong placement because you're checking in on them every year, right? And then you're actually doing an annual review, and then you lock something else in there with that family. The more policies you have with the family, you cover all their children, you cover their spouse, cover more stuff. They're in it with you for life. They're going to be your client for the rest of their life and your life, hopefully. All right, you got this? Oh, man, I'm so late. Push the check back. Pre-deliver the policy with your policy from one of our carriers. Protect your sale from other agents that call in. Number 4, tell them that you'll call them back in 2 days, and then you call them back in 2 days. Send a card or note, not a thank you. Don't let that say thank you on it. On a long underwriting, touch base with them. Personally deliver your policy and then staple that card of their why, their pain that they're trying to solve on the card, and then annual reviews every year. See, one of the tracking things that's most difficult is to know what policies are still on the books. The only way you really know is if you track it. The way you track it consistently is if you call your annual reviews week after week after week that you did a year ago, and then that'll tell you what's still on the books. And then maybe why they canceled it, and then you have a chance to go back in there and write something else. But that's how you know. Persistency is one of the hardest things to track, because if the carrier's not tracking it for you, then you have to track it. And this is the only way I know to track it consistently is on annual reviews. And if you're doing annual reviews, I know that your placement persistency is probably going to be good because you're actually doing it. So that is it. Let's see if I get any questions. I know that's fast and furious, but man, your career depends on it. Like I said, if you don't do it now, it's too late when you find out what it really is. Too late. You're going to be asked to leave. I don't want that to happen. So let's unmute and see if anyone's got any questions.
All participants are unmuted.
I'll restart you.
Any questions?
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
All right. No questions. No chats. All right. If you got any questions, let me know. But man, I have to get this out for you. And for those of you that are going to receive letters, don't fear not, but be very, very concerned. And you do this, you won't have to ever get a letter. Okay? Man, rock on, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for plugging in. And let's make this an awesome month of June. Okay? Rock on.